Hello. Busan is a city located in the southeast of South Korea. It is the second largest city in the country and one of the busiest port cities in the world. The Yeongdong area in the southwest of Busan is the most upscale residential area in the city, and there is a hotel named Grassland managed by a middle-aged couple. The hotel owner enjoys fishing and playing cards. Occasionally he visits the hotel to check its operations, but he is not very dedicated. Overall, most of the work, both large and small, is handled by the lady owner. On a day in August 2003, a very serious and mysterious murder case occurred at this hotel. On the evening of August 23, 2003, at 10:20 p.m., the street was deserted with only a few passers-by. At that moment, a mysterious man entered the Grassland Hotel in Busan. The lady owner, who initially looked a bit sleepy, perked up and warmly welcomed the guest. After completing the registration, the guest left a tip for the lady owner. She accepted the tip and quickly led him to room 306 on the third floor. About 10 minutes later, a slender, fashionably dressed woman also arrived at the hotel. The lady owner handed her the key to room 306. In fact, this hotel was involved in some illegal activities. The lady owner would collect part of the payment from such guests up front and then call them about half an hour after they entered the room to ask if they were satisfied with the service, collecting the remaining amount afterward. Around 11 p.m., after the woman had been in the room for half an hour, the lady owner tried calling room 306, but no one answered. She thought they might be unable to pick up. About 10 minutes later, she called room 306 again, but still, no one answered. She then felt something was strange because such a situation rarely occurred. Worried, she asked her husband to go up to the third floor to check. The hotel owner climbed the stairs as directed by his wife. After some hesitation, he knocked on the door of room 306 several times, but no one opened it. He pressed his ear against the door to listen for any sounds inside, but the room was completely silent. He felt something was off and tried turning the doorknob, surprised to find it was unlocked. Trying to be polite, he called out a few times but received no response. When he entered and turned on the light, he was horrified by what he saw. A female guest lying unconscious on the floor. The owner quickly ran out and called the police. Upon receiving the report, the police immediately headed to the scene. Room 306 was in disarray, with the bed covers on the floor and broken cups on the table. The victim, a young woman, lay motionless on the floor with multiple wounds. They quickly attempted first aid and found that the victim was still barely breathing. She was rushed to a nearby hospital. However, due to the severity of her injuries, she did not survive after being brought to the hospital. The forensic examination revealed that the victim had a total of 10 stab wounds, with the deepest wound in her left chest, which was the cause of death. Forensics found 2 different blood types at the scene: type A, the victim's, and type O, the suspect's. From examining the scene, the police found a dagger, a man's watch, a pair of glasses, a nylon stocking, a white t-shirt, and a pair of shorts in the room. Additionally, there were several cigarette butts and an open condom package in the ashtray. It seemed the suspect had left the scene in a hurry, carelessly leaving behind many pieces of evidence. The police contacted the hotel owner, who said that at the time of the incident, he went upstairs as instructed by his wife to check if the guests needed anything but did not see any suspicious individuals. Since the room registration was handled by his wife, he was unsure how many guests were in room 306. However, the lady owner told the police that on the day of the incident, there were 2 guests in room 306, a man and a woman. The man, around 40 years old, was wearing glasses, a mask, and a baseball cap, making it difficult to clearly see his face. After the man registered, shortly after, a woman entered room 306. The lady owner outwardly claimed they were a married couple, but she knew very well that they were disguising illegal prostitution activities at her hotel. According to the registration information from the day of the incident, the victim, Miss Lee, 32, registered at 10:30 p.m., while the suspect, Mr. Choi, 42, registered at 10:20 p.m. When the police contacted the phone number provided by Choi, it was an unresponsive number, indicating that he used false identification to conceal his real identity. As Miss Lee's mobile phone was not found at the scene, investigators tried calling her number. Unfortunately, the phone was turned off, likely taken by the suspect Choi. Based on the existing clues, this might be a premeditated murder case. The perpetrator had carefully planned the murder of Miss Lee due to personal conflicts. The Grassland Hotel, where the crime took place, had rooms not arranged in order. Room 306 was on the third floor, with a staircase on the right, and room 303 on the left, separated by just a wall. The rooms were not well soundproofed, so any loud noises in one room would certainly be heard by those in the adjacent room. According to information provided by the hotel owner, there was a guest in room 303 on the day of the incident, a man who had hired a prostitute. The police immediately went to question this guest. He stated that on that night, he indeed heard sounds of a commotion from room 306 next door. He was watching TV when he suddenly heard something fall to the floor from the other room. Initially, he didn't pay much attention, but the noise grew louder. He was about to go over and ask them to quiet down. Just as he turned off the TV and was about to leave, he heard a woman from the next room shout, "Help me!" Out of curiosity, he moved closer to the wall and pressed his ear against it, hearing the cry for help once more. The guest told the police that, being new to Busan for work and unfamiliar with the area, he didn't want to cause trouble, so he stayed in his room, listening. Not long after, he heard the door of room 306 open, and someone walked out and closed the door. From the footsteps, he guessed that only one person left, and then the room returned to silence. At this point, he was about to go check on the situation, but decided not to when he heard the hotel owner knocking on the door next door. According to the guest's testimony, the suspect Choi hurriedly left the room right after committing the crime, and the hotel owner quickly followed upstairs. Notably, the Grassland Hotel did not have an elevator, only a staircase next to room 306. If Choi had left the scene via the stairs, he would have encountered the hotel owner coming upstairs, yet the hotel owner did not mention this. Was she hiding something? The lady owner said she asked her husband to check if room 306 needed anything, but her explanation remained unclear. Typically, guests would call the reception if they needed something, rather than the owner proactively knocking on their door. The hotel owner explained that his wife usually managed the hotel's affairs, and he only went upstairs to help as per her request. He assured that he didn't see anyone coming down the stairs that night. Even though he repeatedly denied encountering Choi, the police remained suspicious and interrogated the lady owner again. She stated that it was late at night, she was very tired, and had dozed off at the reception desk, unaware if any guests left their rooms. As to why she asked her husband to knock on the door, after multiple police interrogations, she reluctantly revealed the reason. She was secretly running a special service at the hotel, calling in prostitutes whenever a guest requested. Miss Lee was one of them. On the day of the incident, Choi had given her some money, which she understood as a signal to call Miss Lee for prostitution. However, she did not anticipate that Miss Lee would encounter such a misfortune. Initially, she hid this information out of fear that the illegal activities at the hotel would be prosecuted. The police were puzzled by how Choi left the hotel if no one saw him. They requested to see the hotel's surveillance footage, but the lady owner claimed the security cameras had been broken for a long time, and she hadn't repaired them to save money. During the investigation, the guest from room 303 approached the police with a new clue. He mentioned that on that night, he heard someone leave the room next door, but did not hear any footsteps going downstairs. Following this lead, the police found a blood sample on the fourth-floor staircase railing. The blood test results showed type A, matching the victim Miss Lee's blood type. The police suspected that after committing the crime, Choi intended to escape, but noticing the hotel owner coming upstairs, went up to the fourth floor and waited. When the hotel owner entered room 306, Choi then left the hotel unnoticed by the dozing lady owner. A woman, referred to as A, reported that on the night of the incident, she was at home when she heard the sound of a glass breaking. She opened her window and saw a man in a cloak stepping out of the main entrance of the motel a few minutes later. He kept glancing left and right, appearing very frightened. As it was late at night, she couldn't see his face clearly, but she estimated his height to be about 1.7 meters. During the investigation, the motel owner unexpectedly handed the police a phone, stating it belonged to the victim, Lee. She admitted that before the police arrived, she had secretly entered room 306 and found Lee's phone on the bed. Fearing that the call history on Lee's phone would expose the motel's illegal business, she took the phone away. Later, feeling remorseful, she decided to turn the phone over to the police. From the call history, the police determined that Lee had called the motel owner before she died. Additionally, there were 4 missed calls on the phone, all from the same number. The police called the number and learned it belonged to B, Lee's roommate and colleague in prostitution. B explained that she called Lee that night because a debt collector had come looking for her. Not finding Lee at home, the collector threatened B. Therefore, B called Lee, urging her to come back and deal with the situation, but after 4 unanswered calls, B had to pay the debt herself. According to the investigation, since starting her prostitution work, Lee had become addicted to illicit substances, spending a significant amount of money each month. Her addiction was so severe that no matter how much she earned, it wasn't enough to satisfy her cravings. To afford the drugs, Lee worked almost daily, but still accumulated debt. To evade her creditors, she frequently moved, but eventually, new creditors would always find her. Based on B's testimony, the police identified several individuals who had sold drugs to Lee, but all had alibis. Lacking evidence, the police could not identify a suspect. So, who was Lee? Born in 1971, Lee was the eldest daughter in a typical family. Her father was a gambling addict and her mother was often ill. As a child, Lee was frequently abused by her father, while her mother, too scared to intervene, could only cry silently. Lee dropped out of middle school and started working part-time jobs to support her family, but every time she earned money, her father would take it all for gambling, only to lose it all. In 1987, at the age of 16, Lee could no longer endure her father's violence and ran away from home, cutting ties with her family to make a living on her own. By 17, she started working at a bar and gradually fell into a life of vice, becoming a call girl. When Lee was 20, she reconnected with her mother, expressing her longing for home and her desire to visit her family, but without seeing her father. From then on, Lee frequently sent money home, always trying to keep it a secret from her father. When Lee died, her parents told the police that despite her job, she was very filial, calling them every week. They had spoken on the phone a week before the incident. When asked if Lee had said anything unusual, her father mentioned that she had talked about a man, referred to as C, who persistently pursued her. She didn't like him because he was a drifter with no stable job and had rejected him. However, he was stubborn and continued to send her gifts and make harassing calls, making her life miserable. Based on this clue, the police located and questioned C. He expressed deep sorrow upon hearing about Lee and admitted to having pursued her. They met at a bar, and Lee was the woman of his dreams, so he started courting her. However, Lee felt he couldn't provide the life she wanted. C insisted he could not have killed her, as he was at home all day on the day of the incident. During the investigation, the forensic team reported finding the suspect's DNA at the scene. The knife used in the murder was identified as the weapon, though no fingerprints were collected. However, the wear on the knife's handle indicated frequent use. Moreover, traces of fibers resembling spoiled seafood were found on the white shirt and shorts discovered at the scene, suggesting the suspect might be a sailor with poor hygiene habits. When comparing the suspect's DNA with the criminal database, no matches were found. Since the new clues pointed towards the suspect being a sailor, along with the witness A having previously seen the suspect leave the scene wearing a long cloak, the investigators conducted an investigation in the port area. During their investigation, they discovered a small grocery store that sold shorts similar to those of the suspect. The store owner mentioned that sailors in the area frequently visited his shop. as they often got their clothes wet while at sea and needed to bring extra clothes to change into. The shorts sold in his store were cheap yet of good quality, making them popular among sailors. However, due to the high volume of sales, he couldn't identify who the suspect might be. The police then presented the owner with the glasses and the dagger found at the crime scene for identification. The owner stated that the type of glasses was very common and used by many people, and he couldn't recall who had purchased them. However, he did remember the dagger distinctly, as he knew that sailors often use such daggers to clean the insides of squids they caught. Based on this clue, the police found a fishing boat and discovered the same type of dagger on board. However, the boat owner mentioned that most of their sailors used that type of dagger, so this did not prove anything conclusively. While investigating the refueling ships at Namport, the police noticed a sailor who, during questioning, kept his head down and stammered, appearing very nervous. This individual was nearsighted but wasn't wearing glasses, raising police suspicion that he might be the suspect who had hastily fled the scene, leaving his glasses behind. However, after checking, it was found that his prescription differed from that of the glasses found at the scene. DNA tests also proved that he was not the suspect. Apart from domestic ships, Namport also hosted many foreign ships. It was possible that the suspect was an illegal immigrant who had fled South Korea after the crime. Nevertheless, the police did not give up and checked 70 foreign ships entering and leaving the port before and after the incident, but they still found no useful leads. Thus, the case remained unsolved for a long time. 10 years later, a television program reinvestigated the case and obtained a new lead. A woman named Kim reported that about a month before the incident, she had been attacked by a strange man near the crime scene. She was very frightened but did not report it to the police for fear of damaging her reputation. 2 months later, something even worse happened. Kim was cycling to a nearby factory after dinner when she unexpectedly encountered the man who had harassed her before. He was also on a bicycle and suddenly emerged from the roadside, blocking her path. He told her that a stone was stuck in her rear tire, so Kim stopped to check it. Unexpectedly, the man attacked her from behind, pulling her hair and dragging her into a narrow alley. Kim struggled fiercely, but he was too strong for her to resist. She could only scream, hoping someone would hear. Fortunately, 2 men finishing their shift heard her cries and ran towards her. Seeing this, the man quickly let go and attempted to flee, but Kim managed to grab his shirt, trying to hold him back. However, he was too strong and easily broke free. This time, Kim got a clear look at his face, but after discussing with her family, she decided not to report the incident to the police. Recently, upon seeing the police sketch of the suspect, Kim realized it closely resembled the man who had harassed her before. Therefore, this time she decided to speak up courageously to help the police create a more accurate portrait of the suspect. The police guided Kim to recall the details carefully and used a computer to generate a new image of the suspect. Some people believe this criminal was extremely bold. If he had dared to harass Kim a second time, he would likely become more aggressive, and Kim would not be his only victim. Thus, not long after, he targeted another girl, Miss Lee. Since the suspect was still active in the area from July to September 2003, it's certain that local residents had also seen him. The police released the new photo of the suspect and quickly received several leads from the local community. One person reported that around August 2003, shortly after the incident at the Grassland Hotel, they saw the suspect loitering near the hotel, seemingly looking for something. Following this, a few more people came forward, stating they had also seen him. While the police were stuck in their investigation, a friend of the suspect, who had previously been suspected by the police, unexpectedly came forward with a crucial piece of information. This man recounted that around 2014, he had befriended a man named Jang, who was also a sailor. They became close friends and often drank and chatted together. One time, after drinking heavily, Jang suddenly stood up and proudly confessed to him that 10 years ago he had killed someone at a hotel and the police still hadn't caught him. The man was too drunk to react at the time, but after sobering up, he was horrified and considered reporting it to the police but refrained because they had become good friends and had helped each other a lot in their work. After thinking it over, the man decided not to act impulsively and wanted to clarify things with Jang. However, Jang vehemently denied ever saying such a thing and accused him of lying, blaming it on a misunderstanding due to drunkenness. As a result, the two drifted apart and eventually lost contact. The man was haunted by this for a long time, often considering going to the police but never did. As time passed, the man gradually forgot about it. Only later, when he saw the suspect's photo released by the police online, did he realize the seriousness of the matter. Noticing a resemblance between Jiang and the man in the photo, he reported the information to the police. The police, following this lead, located Jiang. He adamantly denied any involvement in criminal activities or harming anyone. Despite his strong denials, the police took a DNA sample from Jiang, which confirmed he was not the suspect. Just as the police were about to abandon the investigation, an old case unexpectedly came to their attention. Someone online compared the image of the suspect from the hotel case with that of a suspect in a 1999 murder case and found some similarities. In 1999, a man named Kim, 25 years old, frustrated with his job, had a fight with his wife, and subsequently shot and killed his 13-month-old daughter with an air rifle before fleeing the scene. The police had been searching for him for decades, but never found him. The suspect from the Grassland Hotel bore some resemblances to Kim. Kim was 1.68 meters tall, while the suspect Choi was around 1.70 meters. Kim had monolid eyes and severe myopia, always wearing glasses, and the glasses left by the suspect were also of high prescription. The two shared similar facial features, including a wide jawline. Using this lead, the police continued their search. They also discovered that before the 1999 incident, Kim had worked as a sailor for some time, making him well-versed in the profession. Therefore, after fleeing, he likely sought maritime-related work. The police suspected that the Grassland Hotel suspect might also be involved in maritime work. Unfortunately, since the 1999 incident, Kim seemed to have vanished from the world, and the Grassland Hotel case had occurred over 20 years ago, with the perpetrator still not found. Some speculated that he might have fled abroad, while others believed he was still hiding within the country. Is he really Kim? And do you think Kim could be the culprit in the Grassland Hotel case? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this case, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to support us. Thank you for your time, and see you in the next video.